Hi, welcome to the Art of Patient Communication. In the last 2 episodes of Season 1, we will be talking about the power of feeling great inside and outside and how it affects your ability to communicate. I will be interviewing Becky Fulton today, who is not just a personal stylist, but she has a master's degree in personal styling. Becky believes that it's all about empowering her clients to dress the best so that brings the best out of them. Because when you're dressed the best, it brings the best out of you and hence improves your ability to communicate to your patients. Hi, Becky.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you. So, thank you for coming to the show. So, Becky, tell me a little bit about yourself, how your journey has been and how did you end up being a personal stylist?
Yeah, so it depends if you want the long or the short answer to that one. But I guess in a nutshell, I became a personal stylist. So I have a master's in personal styling with the Australian Style Institute. And I wound up there when I was in a place in my life where I was looking for more. Yeah. I was working in an executive job for the local council here, and I was pretty unhappy. It was a very stressful position, and I just kept thinking there's got to be more to life than this. And I felt as though I had more to give than just working in admin for somebody else. Yeah. And so I actually took a demotion at work and I quit the job that I was in and I went and worked in another department part-time.
Right.
While I was just kind of regathering myself after a really stressful few years. And I, just before my daughter went to school, I thought, I'm just going to take some time with her. And I saw this course kept popping up on my Facebook ads and my Instagram ads. And I've always loved fashion. So my earliest memories with my mum are shopping. You know, I've always loved clothing. I've always been that go-to person for my friends. And so out of just wanting to do something for myself, I thought, why not? Let's go and do this course and just, something interesting. Never in a million years did I think I would create a business out of it.
Right.
However, what I learned during my time in this course, while I have always had a love for fashion and for style and for clothing, I had always really struggled in that area as well. And I had always struggled to dress myself, to dress my body shape. I had body image issues. I had an understanding of the power of clothing and the powering of dressing in a way that reflects you, but I didn't know what that meant and I didn't know how to articulate that and I didn't know how to bring that to life. However, everything that I learned during my studies completely transformed how I dressed myself, how I approached shopping and how I approached clothing. And I thought, if this can transform my life as much as it has, imagine how many others I could help.
That's right.
And that's where Oh My Style was born. I came home and I said to my husband, I'm starting a business. And he said, hell no, you're not. Aren't you recovering from the stress and you want to open a business?
Yeah.
And I said, nah, trust me, I know I'm in the right place. And so I began Oh My Style, and it just took off right from the beginning. And that was nearly 5 years ago now. And thousands of men and women later, countless workshops, few awards under my belt. And I couldn't imagine being anywhere else, really.
Yeah, wow. What a great journey, hey?
Yeah, it's been an awesome journey.
Yeah. And how you said, being a stylist, you have added confidence in other people's lives, Becky. Tell me that transition in your life. How did you feel? How you said you had body image issues before that, and how did you feel after that, after you knew what I should be wearing and what makes me look elevated?
Yeah, and I think this is the key where most people get unstuck, and most people believe that fashion and clothing has something to do with how you look and how you are perceived to others. But for me, it is not that at all. It is 100% all about how it makes you feel. And it's all about dressing for yourself and not for anyone else. And what I actually learned during my course was probably only about 10 to 20% of body shape or colors or, what kind of wardrobe essentials you need. And actually the other 80% of that course was actually all about the psychology behind why we dress the way that we do, what makes us feel good, learning more about humans and, you know, how to articulate them, how to understand people on a different level, and how to understand myself better. And that was the key of, you know, it wasn't necessarily because all of a sudden I knew how to dress my body shape. It was about understanding what makes me feel good by learning about more about who I am on the inside. Yeah. So that was really, the beginning of being able to use that to increase my own confidence.
Yeah. Like, you know, in health professionals, Becky, like in us, like, you know, doctors or nurses, our lives are very busy, right? And we kind of become very plain. And then because we are not putting that effort to elevate our look externally a little bit, it kind of trickles into our other lives as well. And then we end up being this boring person, right? Who's like, oh, I've just don't look good, or I don't feel good. So, you know, and what do you think, which little changes can actually help elevate that confidence a bit?
Yeah. So 2 main areas. The first is probably a really practical area. It's about having less in your wardrobe and more of what actually works for your lifestyle and for who you are as a person. You know, so often we keep things in our wardrobes and maintain things for that one day where it might work, or, you know, that random, the random dress up party that would be really good if I ever get invited to a clown dress up party or to a 70s dress up party, I'll be able to wear that. But what actually happens when we have a wardrobe, you know, full of clothing is when we go to get dressed in the morning and we feel we walk into a wardrobe that overwhelms us. Yeah. What happens is the creative part of your brain shuts down. So, you know, your brain almost goes into fight or flight mode, and that kind of rational, creative side of your brain shuts down, and that stress brain goes off. And when you're feeling stressed, your brain will remind you of what you've done before in the past to bring comfort into that situation. So that'll be why most people will, you know, wear 20% of their wardrobe 80% of the time, because they'll reach for those same pair of jeans or that same pair of leggings or that same outfit that they've always worn that's made them feel comfortable, and they actually lose their creativity. So they struggle to utilize the other pieces in their wardrobe to kind of piece it together and get dressed. So when you actually have a wardrobe that is got less in there of quality pieces that really suit your lifestyle and suit who you are, that's when you're able to utilize your wardrobe better. So having much less in there is a really big key. And then the other side of it is actually understanding more about who you are as a person. So during my style consultations, I do an activity that helps us to uncover what your unique personal style is. And it helps us we do this activity that enables us to articulate into a couple of words that is a reflection of who you are. Everyone was born with a personal style. Yeah. Some people feel more like they have more style than others do, but everybody has a style, and it's a reflection of your values and your morals, who you are as a person. And it's once you're able to put that into words on what your style is and then shop and dress in a way that reflects who you are on the inside, that's when that confidence really comes out. So they would probably be, amongst a couple of other things, the 2 top things that I would recommend when it comes to dressing with confidence.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Becky. So, Becky, what do you think people misunderstand in their personal style most of the time?
Yeah, people so often just get caught up in trends. And, you know, there's 2 sides of that, because quite often what's on trend is what's available in store. And so you can easily get caught up in the trend cycle, because when you go shopping, that's what you're getting thrown in your face. But yeah, it's really important once people are able to articulate what their style is to really stay true to that and to stick to that, because that is so the key to feeling confident. Really, the rest of it's just cherries and icing on top of it all. It's dressing in a way that reflects who you are as a person, and that's what really matters. So I would say, getting that, you know, like I said before, fashion and clothing is often misinterpreted for what other people think and how you look, but it's really just continue coming back to how does this make you feel?
That's right. And do you have like a transformational story for me where you changed somebody and how it affected their work and home life and, you know, all the rest of it?
I have so many. Too many to count. One recently that has really stuck with me and impacted me was I had a client who was probably about in the last 12 months. And she was a beautiful young mum. She just had her second baby. Her second child was about 8 weeks old. And she'd purchased a shopping package with me because she was just really struggling to dress herself. She didn't have time to think about it. And she had a really different body shape. So we went shopping and we got her sorted. We got her a mum capsule kind of wardrobe and outfits that made her, feel really good, but were really practical for her lifestyle too. And, she messaged me and said how much she enjoyed the sessions and how much she was loving all her new clothes. And I never really thought much more about it. And it wasn't until about 8 months after I worked with her that she actually had reached out again and booked a package for her mum, for her wardrobe.
Right.
And so I was really looking forward to working with her mum, and I went to her mum's house and, we were chatting through the style consult, which I do at the beginning of every one of my sessions.
Yeah.
We were sitting down and she said to me, oh, look, just before we start, I just have to share something with you. And she said, I don't know if you realize or you knew this, but about a couple of weeks after you worked with my daughter, she actually left her husband. And I was like, oh, wow, really? Considering like the 2 young kids that she had. And she goes, it came out that he was actually emotionally abusing her. And we knew nothing about it. And she said that she told us after she worked with you, she felt this level of just confidence and she just felt so good about herself. It actually gave her that confidence and that push to finally stand up and say, I'm not going to be in this relationship anymore. And it gave her the push to reach out and to leave him and to open up to her parents about what had been going on.
Yeah.
And I was just, in absolute awe. I could not believe. When I say I could not believe it, I can believe it because I understand the power of what it can do. It was just incredible to be a part of that. And, that's only one small story of, I know the impact of being able to teach people how to dress to reflect who they are, and that brings out their confidence. That has just made lifelong impacts on people. So it's so much bigger than what people can ever think. Clothing is a really powerful tool that you can use to express exactly who you are and to build that inner confidence. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really underestimated, isn't it? When I was researching before our interview, Becky, this article that came up, which talks about how even Cinderella had to updress into a gown, isn't it? To find the right man, right? And I was like, oh my God, it's in our storybooks, the story tales, and how do we forget that?
Exactly.
Oh,
I love that. I'm going to have to use that.
Yeah. And and this is what we often talk about it even in our professional setups as well with the clinicians, that make sure you spend that 5-10 minutes extra on you so you look your best, so you bring the best version out of yourself, come out so you can talk confidently.
Yeah.
And Becky, do you feel that way as well? If you are dressed up well, you can communicate or talk to people around you, because that's what you do, right? You talk to females or men, and how does that affect you?
100%. Yeah. So particularly when I run a lot of workshops, so with businesses, or charities, etc. And I know that in those moments, I need to, what happens is when you dress for a special occasion, or you've got a meeting on, or you've got something important on, people will often try and change their style to kind of make themselves feel better. So they try and dress in a certain way or kind of level it up a little bit. But actually in those moments, it's really about continuing to dress truly for who you are. And so, for me, I know that I've got a masculine but a feminine personal style. And so a blazer or a collared button-down shirt makes me feel really, really good. So in my workshops, 100% of the time you will see me either in a blazer or in a button-down collared shirt or something along those lines. And I know that I don't then have to even think about what I'm wearing. All I have to do is just be myself, and that inner confidence just naturally comes out. So, and it really affects how you, you said it yourself then, but it really affects how you approach different people and how you project yourself and how you present yourself. I was actually reading a statistic recently, and it says that it takes 0.1 of a millisecond when you meet someone for the first time for them to decide how trustworthy you are.
Yeah.
And that's, in that very short period of time, you do not get a chance to say a word. And so, being able to be confident and dress and allow that confidence to come out can be as important as someone meeting you for the first time to decide whether you're trustworthy enough to either give them your business or to trust them enough, even in the healthcare industry, to put their trust in your hands.
Yeah.
So if you're timid and you're not quite sure, and, you know, that can actually affect how someone might trust you. So it's really important.
So I was actually talking to someone last week, and they were saying that it's sad, but the beauty bias exists. They said that in the healthcare industry, the trust is super high, but still there is beauty bias. Somebody who's dressed well, who looks pretty, they would trust them quickly and then somebody else, which is, you know, it is sad it's there, but it's there.
It's sad, but, you know, we're human as well. And it's our natural human instinct, isn't it? You know, it takes 7 seconds to completely judge someone as well, you know, on who they are as a person as well. So it's a short period, but it's also about part of who we made up, and no one's perfect.
No.
You know, it's just about utilizing these tools to your advantage rather than to the negative, I say.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
and accepting that and just working on that, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
So, Becky, what would be one advice you'd like to give to a health professional listening to our podcast today about approaching their outside appearance and how it's going to level up their communication skills with their patients so they can have a better relationship with them?
Yeah. Look, you know, I have touched on this already, but it really is about trying to understand yourself on a deeper level a little bit more, and really being able to dress in that authentic way that is, you know, allows who you are to come out, you know, understanding what your personal style is, understanding what makes you tick, what makes you feel good, and leaning into that and leaning away from, you know, either trends or, you know, often I know so many healthcare professionals, you know, their life's so busy. You add kids and everything on top of that, and even the stress of the type of job that you do, and not having to be able to think about what you're going to wear is really important too, and ensuring that you've got a wardrobe that is easy to get dressed, because, you know, you might have a wardrobe full of clothes that suits you, but if you're still spending hours trying to put an outfit together that makes you feel good, that's going to affect how you approach your day as well. Being able to easily and quickly go into your wardrobe and get dressed and feel good helps the brain as well to kind of get into that space. But yeah, having clothing that works for you and that suits your job and your industry and what you're in as well, because clothing is really powerful. And, you know, I always recommend to different clients as well, if they don't necessarily love their job, then they need to really have two separate wardrobes too. So a casual wardrobe that you would wear for casual, and then you would have your professional wardrobe. Because if you are in a job that you might not necessarily like, or that is stressful, highly stressful as well, and then you try and wear those clothing that you casually when you're trying to relax, your brain actually, you know, that's why uniforms are so important, because you put those clothing on and it's like your brain goes, that's right, I'm in this style of clothing, I'm heading into work. Yeah. So if that's a stressful position as well, you know, I'm just trying to identify how powerful clothing can be. So yeah, it's important to have clothing that works for you and that makes you feel really good. And particularly for healthcare professionals, I would actually recommend having those two separate wardrobes so that you can make sure that you're relaxing in those moments that you need to, but then having those clothing that kind of gets you in that mindset, ready for work, ready to make decisions and to feel good, so that you are being able to take care of people and, you know, make those right decisions and, yeah, put your best self forward.
Thank you. That was a fantastic, great insight, Becky. That was just right on the spot for me, because I think I struggle with that as well. Like, you know, you have the same wardrobes and you just do not clock off, right? And this is extremely important. So thank you.
And particularly if you own a business as well, it's so important to have those separate clothing. You know, you might still love your job, but the reality is when you put on that clothing that you would predominantly wear for work, your brain just goes into work mode. And you need to make sure you're looking after yourself, especially in the healthcare industry.
The end of the day, it's a job, right? Yeah. So no.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. Thank you, Becky. Thank you for your time today.
My pleasure.
Lovely.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. I hope you got something out of it. Follow me on Instagram and subscribe on YouTube. Thank you.